You don't have to do this, Megan. Usually people think that's really cool. I'm a nerd, you're a nerd, we're all nerds. Feet, 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 feet. Loaded, loaded, loaded. If I burn myself, this is for you. Have a good day. We may not know how long humans have on this planet, but I'm going to share a resource with you today that puts a ticking clock on the other species on this planet. And we better listen to it. Hey everybody, I'm Megan Mandel and I'm a licensed biology and environmental science teacher. Thank you for finding my channel. I'm hoping I can give you some knowledge that might be somewhat useful someday for something. Couple things to celebrate. A, I got a new job, and B, this is the 10th video. That's a milestone. They usually scare me, you know, because I feel like there's fire in them somehow, even though I know there's not really fire, but there's some sort of heat mechanism that's really terrifying. This is gonna make my house messy. Oh my god. Am I okay? Oh my god. There's just like smoke coming out of it. Did I burn myself? Literally nothing came out. Oh my god. My heart rate is so high right now. These must be really old. I think my... Oh my god. Okay. I handled that one really well. Oh my god. More smoke. Oh my god. Fire alarm. You know. I think I handled that one best. Sorry people. I'm okay, I promise. So this resource that I alluded to earlier is called the IUCN Redlist. The Redlist is run by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and its goal is to determine the status of every species on the planet. What I mean by status is kind of a ranking of how endangered that species is. This is no easy feat, as there are 1.9 million species identified on this planet, and that's just a small fraction of the number of estimated species on this planet, which ranks in at 8.7 million. That means we only have a very small fraction of the species on this planet that we actually have discovered. I feel like the ocean is often discussed as this unexplored wild wonderland area, and it really is true when you look at those numbers, not to mention the fact that there are so many species on the land that we haven't identified either. The Red List is used and cited frequently by scientific journals, as well as used to inform international policies, influence resource allocation, inform conservation planning, and influence environmental impact assessments, which lead to major decisions about using land for different purposes. You may remember me talking about pangolins in step number 3. Well, where did I get that information for pangolins about? I got it from the IUCN Red List. That's how I was able to know the status of all the different pangolin species. There is actually a very specific list of criteria that the researchers have to analyze to determine where each species falls on the spectrum of endangerment. It's a very thorough process and there are many factors considered. Here are the different statuses from best to worst. Okay, let's see if I can do this without looking. We've got least concerned, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, and extinct. Did I do it? Attempt number 2? I did it! With such a detailed list of criteria, it's obviously a priority to the IUCN to make sure that they're as accurate as possible. And keep in mind, the statuses of the species are changing all of the time because humans keep on influencing them. Unfortunately, the IUCN Red List cannot reach all of its goals and targets. As I'm making this video, 147,517 species have been given statuses via the IUCN Red List, and their current goal is to reach 160,000. So I'm sure it'll hit that goal. The only thing is I don't see a timeline for hitting that goal on their website like I used to see, and I believe this is because I saw a goal that they had for 2020 several years ago, and they didn't quite make that goal, so I think they took away the timeline for the public to see, unfortunately. And my only wish is that there were a lot more people in the IUCN that could do these assessments so that we could get more and more species determined and maybe discover some more species before they go extinct. If you want to help out with this cause, because it's just about one of the most important causes in the whole world if you ask me, you can donate on the IUCN Red List website, and I will include a link in the description. Now, I'm not going to talk a ton about biodiversity loss and threats of extinction because there is so much on that I want to make a whole other video, but I will share a fact with you that is on the IUCN Red List front page that I think is pretty stunning. 28% of all species that have been assessed are threatened with extinction. Now, that doesn't seem like too much. However, when I do a little math, it starts to be a whole lot more shocking. Based on the number of species that we estimate to be on Earth and the number that the IUCN Red List has looked at, they've only assessed 0.17% of all species. And keep in mind, the species that we haven't identified and or had the resources to assess are much more likely to be at risk of extinction, because that means that there are likely much smaller numbers of them, and they likely live in remote areas that are going to be more affected by climate change. This is not okay. The world is not okay. Things are not okay. Why are we making these poppers when we could be saving species? Everyone, this is my orangutan stuffed animal. I think you should be with me for the remainder of this video. His name is Bert. I just decided that right now. Okay, let's take a look at how to use the IUCN Redlist with my personal favorite endangered species, the orangutan. Now, this search engine can be a little bit picky on names, so make sure you get the name of the species you're looking at right. And when I type in orangutan, we see that there are 3 different species of the orangutan. The Sumatran orangutan, the Bornean orangutan, and I may mispronounce this one, the Tapanuli orangutan. What you'll notice right away when you see that CR on this first page is that they are all critically endangered, which is as bad as it gets other than extinct in the wild, and they're all decreasing. And you'll see those really cute names for them, Pongo abeli, so that's the genus and the species of the orangutan, so that's the scientific name. So if I click on the Sumatran orangutan, which is my favorite species of orangutan because, well, I'm pretty sure it's the cutest. Yep, definitely the cutest. We can see that it was last assessed on October 16th of 2017. So that's quite a while ago. So, you know, things have probably changed since then, but I'm going to guess that it's still critically endangered. We can also see the geographic range of the Sumatran orangutan, which is going to be in Sumatra, of course, hence its name. And we can also see the number of mature individuals. There actually isn't a number for this. So sometimes there'll be some information missing because we don't always have all that information. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see the taxonomy of this animal, so that is how it is named, and we can see it's in kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primates, family Hominidae, and genus Pongo, and then of course species Pongo abeli. So that's really cool to me. We can see the generation length is 25 years, much too short, babies. We can see, if we scroll down further, all of the threats to this species, so a lot of these you'll see over and over again. If I had to put my personal opinion on this and talk about the most frustrating of these threats, and probably the ones that I would like to see change the most, I would say they would be agriculture, biological resource use, and natural system modifications. If you know anything about orangutans, their tropical rainforests are being deforested at alarming rates, and a lot of this is for animal agriculture and palm oil, which is in just about everything, unfortunately. You can also scroll down and see the conservation actions in place, so see what's being done. So if you aren't sure what species you want to look at, but you want to narrow your search a little bit, you can click on the advanced tool and go to the search filters. I could click kingdom fungi if I really want to look at a fungi, or I can look at plants, so on and so forth. I can also look at the land regions. I can look at its status, so what's the category? Is it extinct? Is it extinct in the wild? Ooh, that's really fun if I click on the extinct and I can look at all these extinct species. The Floriana giant tortoise. So anyway, use that advanced filter if you are, you know, doing a research project. If you're a student and you're seeing this video, you're going to want to know how to use that advanced function. Okay, so another thing we can do, which is kind of fun, is we can investigate that myth that went around that koalas were functionally extinct, which is kind of similar to extinct in the wild. So let's take a look. We can see that there is only one species of koala, actually. And this species is only vulnerable. So that myth was kind of frustrating because, yes, koalas were at huge risk a few years ago because of the Australia wildfires, and I'm sure they will be again and still are. However, koalas are not and never were functionally extinct. That was some fake news spreading on the internet. So if we look at the guidelines for using this criteria, this is where we see how in-depth this process really is and how much attention is given to all of the different criteria. The first criteria is population size reduction. So how much has that population been reduced over either 10 years or 3 generations, whichever is longer. The second is geographic range. The third criteria is how big the population size is and if it's declining. For each of these criteria, they've got the different numbers that they're looking at to determine whether a species is critically endangered, endangered, or vulnerable. So that then helps them determine, when looking at A through E, where a species should fall based off of those different criteria. Okay, now I'm going to give you your task, and you actually have to follow through on this one because I've been looking at the view versus comment ratio, and a lot of you are viewing, but I haven't seen these comments coming in relating to the assignment, so get on this task. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You go on the IUCN Redlist website, you type in the name of a species you're interested about, you click on that species profile, and you look at the species scientific name and their endangerment status, and read some other things too, like I showed you with the orangutans. Then you're going to come back to my video and you're going to comment, and in the comment you're going to write the name of the species, the scientific name of the species, and their status. And then all the future viewers of this video can look down and see some information about some of their favorite species or some species that they never heard about. So please do that. We're spreading awareness. You can spread awareness just as much as I can. All you gotta do is this one simple thing. But come on, this is pretty easy. Thank you so much for watching the video. That's all from me and Bert here. He's very sweet. He doesn't talk a lot, and I like that about him.